To the Paul Brown Show. Today I have a special guest. I have Pastor Bruce Little of Miracle House of Hope. How you doing there, sir?
What's up, Paul? How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, as you know, my name is Pastor Bruce Little. From Charlotte all my life. I messed up in Charlotte, right here in the city of Charlotte. But I knew one day that I was going to have to do something different. And I started my life off. I went through high school in Charlotte, graduated high school, and I did like a lot of people did that was in my age group. I really lost my way right here in the city of Charlotte. I was almost considered a failure. Got into drugs and alcohol really bad. Got into criminal activity really bad. And for 20-something years, right here in the city of Charlotte, I messed up. But one day, I wanted to change. I was walking down the street. I was walking around the streets of Charlotte, and I knew there had to be a better way. So I decided to leave Charlotte. I went down to Atlanta, Georgia, got to Atlanta, Georgia, and someone handed me a flyer. And the flyer said that if you want to change your life, first call on God and then call on us. And I began to read that flyer, and that flyer began to hit home with me because I'd never really trusted God. You got to realize, I didn't grow up in church, didn't have a family with church, but I can remember my grandma always telling me when I was a little kid, Bruce, baby, you got to pray. She used to always tell me that, Grandma, now, you know how back in the day, you're a black man, Grandma was your everything. Grandma used to always tell me, baby, you got to pray. And in my darkest times, I remember that. She said that I had to pray, so when I got the flyer, I prayed. Yes, sir. But I never trusted God. I never depended on God for anything. So I decided to go to the bus station and call the number on the flyer and join the program. It was a ministry. And they began to tell me about God, began to tell me that I could change, began to tell me about renewing of the mind. And I began to believe that I had the gifts. I began to believe that I wasn't what they say I was. People said I wasn't going to be nothing. I was the one that's supposed to be stuck under the tree with a wine bottle in his back pocket and a crack stem in his front pocket.
My name is Jatavia Broom, and I'm the founder, CEO, president, everything, all of that, of the Prima Royal Pink Diamonds. If you're wondering what Prima means, I am Prima, and the Royal Pink Diamonds is my dance team. A little bit about me, I've been dancing for 8 years now. I started dancing when I was in high school. I started as a West Charlotte Sophisticat on the marching band. And then I went off to A&T, North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. I went to A&T, I did cheerleading, I did dance, I did modeling. So I did a lot of things that related to the arts. After college, I went off, I did a little bit of semi-pro dance teams. I danced for football teams, I've danced for basketball teams, I've tried out for the Carolina Panthers, and I just enjoy dance. I love my children, and that's just what I do. I enjoy the art of being in dance and being around my kids. So I just want to do more for the community, and that's just me, Prima.
That sounds very interesting. Jatavia?
Yes.
Okay. What made you interested in becoming, in the dance field?
Well, what got me into the dance field, just to be honest, a long time ago, I had a whole bunch of things that I was dealing with. But when I tried out for a dance team, it allowed me to express myself and shut some of those things out. It brought my self-esteem up. I was able to talk more. I was able to meet new friends. So I said, this is the thing for me. And so I decided to do dance. I kept on going, and I tried to do it more in college. So I decided that I wanted to bring out a dance team. Now, I was on different dance teams, and then I was helping different dance teams doing coaching. I coached for high schools, I coached different community teams, and I was seeing the way that they were doing things on their teams, and I was looking and analyzing, and I thought, well, I think that I can do this a little bit better or do something a little bit different. So I decided that I wanted to start my own team and show the world that Prima can make it happen and make things a lot better for the dance world. So I brought about the Royal Pink Diamonds.
So the Royal Pink Diamond, that's your baby.
Mm-hmm.
When was it established, and what is your vision in the Royal Pink Diamond?
The Royal Pink Diamonds was established in January of this year, 2017. My vision for the Royal Pink Diamonds is just for my team to become poppin'. I want you guys to be able to see my team. Whenever they hit the door, you know exactly who my team is. Whenever we go out to perform, you know exactly who the Royal Pink Diamonds are. Whenever you see any of my Royal Pink Diamonds in class or going off to college or going off and being in these businesses, owning their own businesses, you'll know that it's a Royal Pink Diamond. My goal is to not only teach my girls how to dance, versatile. I want them to be versatile dancers, learning hip hop, ballet, African, modern, tap dance, whatever type of dance that I can think of. But not only are they're dancing,
I think the success that I've had as a member of Congress is based on what I was doing before I went to Congress, really. I mean, I was born and raised in this community in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Grew up here, went to public schools here, went away to undergraduate school at Chapel Hill and to Yale Law School, but came back in the early 70s and spent a lot of time in the community because I came to a law firm that was in the process of changing the Charlotte community. And I've witnessed all of the changes that have taken place, many of the changes that have taken place in our community over the years. Going to Congress was kind of a logical extension of what I was already doing, and so I think that's been very beneficial to me. I've seen the challenges of our community, and I've seen the successes of our community, and I think I have had a better understanding of what those challenges are and what opportunities can be there if we take advantage of them to create opportunity for everybody in the community. So I think that's probably sums it up pretty well.
And I applaud you, sir, because you've done a great job representing the 12th District.
Thank you.
And I just want to ask a question as far as gun control. Do you think there should be more restriction on guns in our community?
Well, you know, the Supreme Court has now said that subject to certain limitations, the Second Amendment has as much force and impact as the First and the Third and the Fourth and all of the rest of the amendments. So in a sense, I guess that would lead one to the conclusion that possibly anybody's entitled to have guns anywhere, anytime they want. But there are reasonable limitations on every amendment to the Constitution. The First Amendment says that we should make no laws related to that would restrict speech or religion, but obviously we have multiple laws that restrict speech and religion. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. That's the general legal rule. That would be the ultimate free speech if you could say anything, anywhere, anytime. And the same thing applies in gun control. Reasonable constraints can be placed on the possession, use, ownership, sale of guns, just like we can place reasonable restrictions on speech. And
exciting guests. I have Miss Janice Shirley to my right, and I have Miss Bernadette Moss. How y'all ladies doing today?
We're good. Great. Thank you for having us.
We're talking about a very deep topic. We're talking about HIV. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Shirley.
My name is Janice Shirley. I'm an HIV advocate. I'm also a certified peer support specialist along with being an advanced level facilitator. I'm also the liaison for the BTAN chapter here in Charlotte, which stands for Black Treatment Advocacy Network. We're a chapter that is connected to the BAI, which is the Black AIDS Institute out in Los Angeles.
And yourself?
My name is Bernadette Moss. I'm the Prevention Program Manager for Carolinas Care Partnership. And so basically what my job is to go out to the community, teach about HIV prevention, and to also do testing.
First of all, we're going to talk about, tell us a little bit about HIV. Tell us about HIV. Why did y'all talk about HIV?
Well, I moved into this field just because I have a passion for like marginalized communities. I get paid on a daily basis to talk about sex. Like, what better job is out there than that? So I appreciate that.
And yourself?
One reason why I'm so passionate about HIV because 13 years ago I contracted HIV. So not knowing about HIV, not having the right people in my corner to even school me on HIV, learn me about HIV, I set out on my own to start learning about what is it about HIV, what I needed to do, how I needed to take care of myself, what type of medicines I needed. So, and I've been on the mission ever since.
Okay, Ms. Shirley. Okay, you said you contracted HIV. Now, if this is not personal, how did you contract it?
I contracted from my daughter's father, which when he was questioned about it, when I questioned him about it, it was like, no, he didn't have it. But come to find out, toward the end, he did have it. He still has, well, he has it. So he's still living with it.
Okay, how did you take that, how did you find out exactly that you had it? Did you go to get tested, or how did you find out you had HIV?
I know I was, it started out, I was going to go to Johnson & Wales. I wanted to go to the culinary school. I wanted to be one of the great cooks. I don't know whether or not people remember way back in the day when we had a white lady named Miss Betty Feezer. She used to be on television, on Channel 3. And so she used to do a lot of that cooking, and I used to sit there and watch her show, me and my grandmother. And so I learned a lot of cooking and stuff from my grandmother. And so I went to sign up for the school, but when you get the orientation package, it has in the package that you have to go have a physical. And in the physical, I went to have my physical at the health department. And so they asked me the question, do you want to take the HIV test? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I just did it like that. And I think a couple of weeks later or a week or two later, I received a certified letter in the mail that had that I needed to go to the post office to pick up. And I picked up the letter from the post office. I didn't open it till I got back home. When I got back home, it was having me come down to the health. I needed to call the health department, and they asked me to come down. They set a date for me to come down. And when I got back to the health department, they told me I had HIV.
Why is prevention such a big thing, Ms. Moss, being that you're in that field?
Wow, because we want to prevent the spread of HIV. Currently, HIV statistics, it's so heavy in our communities, in African American communities, where we know that 1 in 2 Black men who have sex with other men will get HIV in their lifetime. That is a startling statistic. You have 2 Black men who have sex with other men. One of them is going to have HIV. That, to me, is plenty of reason for me to be in prevention, to go out and educate people to, first of all, help them understand how the virus is transmitted. That's one of my passions. And also to eliminate the stigma from it, so that people who are HIV positive are not treated in negative ways, who are not, put to the side in society, that we're integrated into society. Because once we have that education surrounding how the virus is transmitted, we can interact with people in normal, common ways and not make them feel negative. So that's another reason why I'm in HIV prevention. And it's just like a passion. Like I want to be on the front lines preventing the epidemic. Like there's some people whose passion is, once the person has the virus, working with them and serving them, I want to be on the front lines to prevent that.
Okay, y'all provided me with some statistics as far as Mecklenburg County. Brief the audience a little bit on those statistics that they're probably not aware of.
Well, if your audience members are of my age, they remember the onset of the HIV crisis when it was gay white men. That's where the epidemic, kind of the media attention was focused on the gay white man. Well, there were dollars and advocacy and everything focused on that. Well, that demographic has shifted now, and HIV primarily affects Black and brown people and poor people. And so here in Mecklenburg County in 2016, 71% of new HIV cases were among Black people, okay? Of that total, 82% of them were men. So right now, Black men who have sex with men, just like that statistic I gave you, 1 and 2, these are the numbers here in Mecklenburg County. It shows the same data across the country that Black men who have sex with other men are the highest risk category out there. And there are preventative measures that a lot of people may not know about. They may have seen a commercial for a medication called PrEP. It is kind of like HIV, it's kind of like birth control for HIV. So you take a pill every day to prevent HIV infection. So let's think back to when I said that minority people and poor people are the ones who are most at risk for HIV. And then you think about something like PrEP, a medication that, although we don't have a cure, could get us to no new infections. Why is this medication so expensive and oftentimes out of reach for people who need it? And for that reason, I always tell people that HIV is very much a social justice issue. When you take the morality out of it, when you take the sex out of it, when you think about why people get HIV today in our communities, it's oftentimes lack of education, poverty, all the circumstances that come together to make this a challenge in our communities. And I challenge the church even as well, because the church has always been, the Black church has always been on the front lines fighting for us. Where are they now that we have this crisis in our communities? We make a moral judgment. When, if I can reference Jesus, who served the lepers, he served the people in society that nobody else, the people that people threw away, okay? Yep. And so our churches now, we're not following Jesus's example. And I challenge our churches to get on the front lines and to help us fight. Take your morality out of it and fight with us so that we can end this epidemic in our communities. Because who else is gonna fight for us if we don't fight for ourselves?
And it's the people in our community. And it's really, really good. And I look at what other people say, and are we making progress on the things that make a difference to them?
And after a career with the City of Charlotte, serving as budget director and assistant city manager, how would that experience help you in your office?
Well, you know, a lot of people think that it would help me a lot,
Correct.
But that's not necessarily so. You know, things are moving so rapidly these
Correct.
days. When I was working with the city, there was a problem or an issue, and you look at, you know, what other cities were doing, and you just pick one of the things that was best, working best, and you try it. But today, think about how much smarter kids have to be in school. You have to define the problem. You have to get data, all that data analytics. You analyze the data. Then you have to go out into the community. Citizen engagement is something that we're working on and doing more of.
Okay.
You then have choices. And then you have to convince people that that's the right choice. And it's not just convincing yourself or the city council members, it's convincing the community that that's the right choice for Charlotte. So I really love numbers and I love budgeting and I can remember all of that. I love the idea of problem solving, but today it just requires a lot more. You have to engage with people to get things done.
I know you work a lot of hours as mayor, probably over 60 plus hours, and you're always around. How do you deal with that? I mean, that I know you have to put in a lot of effort.
I do, but I have a great team. I have people that help me with the schedule.
Correct.
They help me know where to go. They try to keep me on time. For me, it's the energy that's required to be available and accessible. I believe when you talk to people, you have to really pay attention to them.
Correct.
It's not one of those things that I can look at my phone or be glancing over your shoulder. I want you to know that you are the most important thing that I'm thinking of right then in that moment. So after I do that I think people would be surprised to know that I'm busy Saturday and Sundays.
Correct.
Mondays, we have our council meeting. And the only time that I usually don't have an invitation to go someplace is on a Friday afternoon or Friday night. So that's when I kind of recoup or revive myself. Every now and again, I take a couple of days to relax and kind of recharge. And that's an important part of it too. I need to realize that if it's just like in the airplane, you know, you have to put on your mask first before you can help others. So I'm trying to learn to do that better. I'm not always successful at it.
And born and raised there, and graduated from Andrews, South Carolina in 1982, and went on to Benedict College and was commissioned there as an officer of the United States Army, where I served for the past 29 years. And upon retirement in 2015, as I told Mr. Brown, I was then had a divine intervention, said I was going back home to become the mayor. And so here I am. So that's kind of in a nutshell. 29 years, we've seen a lot of things and traveled around the world. But now I find myself in Andrews and serving my second term as the mayor of that small town.
So with being over 20 years in the military, what made you decide on getting into politics?
Well, it wasn't politics itself. It was the fact that I love my town, and I saw the decline of the town for over two plus decades, and so I knew then that I needed to go back home to provide whatever assistance I can for that town to come back up. And so it wasn't a personal choice. I said it was a divine intervention. And here I am. And so politics is what it is.
Yes,
but I see myself more as a leader in the town. And so that's where I am. And so we're that's what we're trying to get after.
Okay. So describe that feeling when you were sworn into office as the mayor of Andrews, South Carolina.
Well, I would tell you it was quite different. I've done and seen a lot of things in the military, but this was different. I was back home. It was a huge buildup. How campaigns go, and my family was there, and so and I just knew the importance of what I was about to get into, and so the emotions, a lot of that had built up, and so then at the night of the conclusion of the election or the campaign, it was just overwhelming. Everyone was bursting in tears, and I knew then that's when I felt the weight of what we had to do and how far we had to go, and so it was just. But it was still comforting to know that I would be there to help my town begin to recover.
So describe that feeling coming from a childhood of Andrew to now being the mayor of Andrews, South Carolina.
Oh wow, yeah. So then, as a child, and as I tell people, you look at the finished product. Not that I'm complete. But you look at the finished product, and you would think that this was someone who has had it made throughout their lives. But in reality, as a child, we were in a home that really didn't have any insulation, no bathroom, no running water, that kind of stuff. We're talking about the 70s, and I graduated in '82. So my first real shower that I could say I owned was at Benedict College, the college that you and I went to. And so then coming from that, and then maturing and moving through life. And coming back now to see how things have changed and how I've changed, now I can understand where I am now and where people are that are still struggling. Okay. And so then I bring a personal experience to trying to to understanding that you can move from where you are to where you need to be if you apply yourself.
You just don't have enough money. So you may not have enough money and you get evicted. Or you may not have enough money and you're living with a family member and you can't contribute to the household, and that family is no longer able to take care of you. The majority of the time it is income. There are times when it is substance abuse, when it's domestic violence, when it's generational poverty, and you may have never lived on your own. You may have lost your caretaker, and learning how to provide for yourself is something new.
Take me through the process of someone finding out the Salvation Army Center Hope and getting into your program.
Well, right now, we've limited to Mecklenburg County residents, meaning you have to be in Mecklenburg County for 90 days. Now, this is totally new for us, but as homelessness grew across the country, and Charlotte being the city that it is, a lot of people that found themselves homeless was coming to Charlotte. So typically someone would call the Salvation Army, or they would walk in, identify themselves as homeless, be in Mecklenburg County for 90 days, and whether it's a mom with a child or single woman or a dad with a child, if we have the space, we'll try to accommodate them.
What's the capacity of your facility?
So the capacity right now is about 300 beds, and that's possible because we have about 50 beds at Victory Christian Church. So they actually send a bus over to the Salvation Army, and we transport women to that facility in the evening.
Okay, so when I contact you, do I come and fill out paperwork on what are some of the paperwork do I need to provide?
So when people come into the Salvation Army, they would come in, meet with an intake counselor, fill out the paperwork. Within 5 days, they'll meet with a social worker for an assessment. We'll assess what is the need. Now, one of the things that we're doing right now, because we made some huge shifts in homelessness, you know, there was a time when transitional housing was really the big thing. It's like people become homeless, let's put them in this program for a year or 2 years until they get themselves together. Now, all of that is shifting. All of that is shifting. So the goal now is to get people out of homelessness more quicker. So what we found is transitional housing was extremely expensive. And we sat down, there were studies done on a national level where we realized, no, the goal is to get people rapidly into housing. So as we're speaking right now, we're doing a huge shift in this city on how people even enter into homelessness. So right now we're working on a process called coordinated intake, which means that we're going to centralize. There may be, for an example, one number that one would call if they became homeless, regardless whether it was a male or female. And then at that point in time, we'll look at what services that currently exist and which program would best meet that need.
My dog's snoring on the floor. Welcome to the coffee shop. My name is Paige Coffee. Okay. Hi, baby. You see those ears sticking up?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Paul Brown Show. This evening, my guest is Miss Paige Coffee. She's Paige Coffee Ministry, and she's the host of the Coffee Shop.
Coffee shop.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell the audience about the show you have, the awesome show you have, the Coffee Shop.
Well, I started out on radio
Okay.
and then moved to video, but I took about a 2-year break, and I was kind of back and forth about it. But a friend of mine has had a show here for 25 years, and she's getting to the point where she couldn't do what she used to, and she asked if I would help her with it because she knew that I had that experience. And then little by little, I realized that I was kind of doing a lot of the work, and so I just decided to start my own. But really, that came from years ago. It came from a vision of the things that would come in my future, and I knew that that was a part of it. So, I always sensed that leading of what, really we should do, and so I just jumped feet first. But really, it's just me and my Bible, and I sit and discuss scripture and pray. It's just so natural. It comes so natural.
Yes, ma'am.